It's been over 50 years since JFK was assassinated, and we are finally starting to get some concrete answers as to what happened on that fateful November day in Dallas. Newly released documents reveal Lee Harvey Oswald met with a KGB agent in Mexico and spoke with the Russians weeks before Kennedy was killed. Within the 2,800 recently declassified files pertaining to the 1963 assassination of President John F. Kennedy, the CIA revealed that on September 28, 1963 that they intercepted a telephone call in Mexico City that indicated Kennedy's killer, Lee Harvey Oswald, was confirmed being at the Soviet embassy on that day. Oswald, who would go on to kill the president, was in Mexico and spoke multiple times with the Soviet consul, Valery Vladimirovich Kostakov. Kostakov was later confirmed as an identified KGB officer and a member of the infamous Department 13, which was a unit which was responsible for sabotage and assassination during the Cold War era. Though this meeting and multiple phone calls, this sets off few alarms since this all happened months leading up to when Oswald assassinated President Kennedy on November 22, 1963. The CIA document does not come to the conclusion that Oswald shot Kennedy on Russian instructions or with help from the KGB. To the eyes of the CIA, it always seemed Lee Harvey acted on his own. Oswald didn't just meet with the Russians before he killed Kennedy. Among the files and the October 26 dump thanks to President Trump, there was a 1967 wire from an alleged Cuban intelligence officer who claimed he knew Oswald personally. And interestingly enough, when he was asked whether or not Oswald was a good enough shot to hit the presidential motorcade from the Texas School Book Depository in his opinion, the alleged Cuban official said, "Oh, he was quite good. I knew him." The Daily Mail reports, Lee Harvey Oswald met a KGB assassin before JFK killing. An explosive newly revealed FBI documents about the assassination of President John F. Kennedy. It's revealed that assassin Lee Harvey Oswald met a senior KGB agent months before the killing. Lee Harvey Oswald met a senior KGB agent months before the assassination of John F. Kennedy, documents from the newly released trove have revealed. Oswald met Agent Valery Vladimirovich Kostakov in Mexico City's Soviet embassy 2 months before the president was shot and killed in Dallas on November 22, 1963. Kostakov was a senior agent in the 13th Department which was responsible for assassinations. This was revealed in an intercepted phone call to the Soviet embassy during which he was heard speaking in broken Russian. Another document reveals the FBI was aware of the meeting on October 1 of 1963, more than a month before JFK was killed, meaning Oswald was already on their radar. The trove of files were published on the National Archives website Thursday night, but President Donald Trump has kept some back so federal agencies can black out portions. The much-anticipated files surrounding the details of President John F. Kennedy's assassination on November 22, 1963, were released on Thursday. The Dallas Police Department mugshots of Lee Harvey Oswald following his arrest for possible involvement in the John F. Kennedy assassination and the murder of Officer J.D. Tippit, who he killed after shooting the president. The document showing the KGB operative who was with the assassination division called the 13th Department being connected to Oswald. According to an intercepted phone call in Mexico City, Lee Oswald was at the Soviet embassy there on September 28, 1963 and spoke with the consul, Valery Vladimirovich Kostakov. One document reads, the CIA document says the agency learned of Oswald's visit to Mexico City when he called the Soviet embassy on October 1, identifying himself by name and speaking broken Russian. According to the document, he asked the guard who answered the phone whether there was anything new concerning the telegram to Washington. In the documents, FBI agents were grilled by a Senate committee about failing to stop Oswald's visit to Mexico in September, 2 months before JFK was killed on November 22 of 1963. An FBI agent said, Oswald wrote me in early 1962 to help expedite an exit visa for his wife. Why in the world would he tell a plopper like that? Bystanders looked on as Jacqueline Kennedy reached over to help her husband, who lay on the rear of the car after being struck by an assassin's bullet as his motorcade traveled through Dealey Plaza. A senator replies, "In any event, he told what the agent knew was lies, and what I am trying to get at is there was no analysis within the Bureau of any of this." He even goes to Mexico City, contacts the Cuban consulate and the Soviet embassy, happens to be in contact, we don't know if there is anything sinister about it, with an agent who was known to be KGB by the FBI and by the CIA, and suspected of being Department 13, which is their assassination and sabotage squad. In any event, he then returns to the United States, is never again interviewed by the FBI. A memorandum dated July 1969, titled An Investigation of Lee Harvey Oswald in Mexico, reports that the infamous assassin was seen at a party in Mexico in late September, 1963. The CIA document reveals how Oswald went to a party in Mexico, along with 2 other Americans and hosted by Mexican playwright Elena Garza Paz. De Paz was interviewed by the FBI following the assassination, who told the FBI about the other Americans with Oswald, but that the interrogation was entirely unsatisfactory by normal investigatory standards. It was in Mexico that Oswald, who was a communist, attended the Soviet embassy in Mexico City on September 28 during the course of his 6-day trip. The FBI had discounted De Paz's accounts, but the CIA was disturbed by them. In yet another shocking turn in the events surrounding the assassination and the follow-up investigation by the FBI, the documents reveal the FBI's failure to properly investigate De Paz's story could have damaged the Warren report. The 46-year-old was shot in the back and head while riding in an open motorcade through Dallas, Texas, with his wife First Lady Jacqueline Kennedy by his side. Lee Harvey Oswald during a press conference after his arrest in Dallas. Oswald was killed by Jack Ruby on November 24 on the eve of Kennedy's burial. The Warren Report, or Warren Commission, was the government's investigation into Oswald and the assassination, and it concluded that he acted alone. The report says the credibility of the Warren Report would be damaged all the more if it were learned that these allegations were known and never adequately investigated by the competent American authorities. It has been reported that Oswald was a good shot, but the speculation mounts that he may not have acted alone as more is revealed about his trip to Mexico. Another document says the CIA's plan in passing information to the Warren Commission was to eliminate mention of wiretapes in order to protect their continuing operations, suggesting the spy agency withheld material from the investigation. Ambassador to Cuba was told to cease looking happy in public following JFK's assassination. The Soviet Union also feared they were going to get blamed for putting neurotic maniac Oswald up to assassinating JFK, the files revealed. In one document dated December 1, 1963, from Director J. Edgar Hoover, the agency reveals everything it has learned about the Soviet reaction to the JFK's assassination and what its agents might have known about Oswald. The tranche of documents reveal that the Soviets were just as obsessed with conspiracy theories surrounding Kennedy's death as the rest of the world. According to our source, officials of the Communist Party of the Soviet Union believed there was some well-organized conspiracy on the part of the ultra-right in the United States to effect a coup. In yet another document it's revealed the Cuban ambassador to the UN and his staff reacted with happy delight just days after the assassination. It was revealed during the assassination investigation that Oswald had connections to Fair Play for Cuba, a grassroots movement to support the Cuban Revolution. The Cuban ambassador was instructed to govern their staff, and to cease looking happy in public. Although Washington closed the case shortly after JFK's death, there have been several conspiracy theories, including that the murder plot involved Cuban leader Fidel Castro, and there has long been rumors of a second shooter. The collection includes more than 3,100 documents, comprising hundreds of thousands of pages, that have never been seen by the public. Members of the Kennedy family at the funeral of assassinated President John F. Kennedy at Washington, D.C. 3-year-old John Kennedy saluted his father. After the release of the documents, Trump said he had no choice but to hold back some of the files as a matter of national security. Before the assassination of JFK, it is being revealed in the enormous trove of files that the CIA had considered attempts on Castro's life that included contaminated skin diving suits and exploding seashells. The idea was to dust the inside of Castro's suit with a fungus that would produce a disabling and chronic skin disease and contaminating the breathing apparatus with the bacterium that causes tuberculosis. The man that was supposed to give him the tainted suit was New York Attorney James Donovan negotiating with Castro for the release of the Bay of Pigs prisoners. However, he had already given him a suit that was not contaminated. The booby-trapped seashell scheme was to have a shell that exploded when lifted, but that idea was also abandoned after the CIA concluded there was no shell large enough in the waters where Castro would dive to contain the desired explosives. Thursday, the White House released 2,800 records relating to the assassination of JFK. But during the course of Thursday it was announced they would be holding back portions of the data as a matter of national security. The officials speaking on behalf of President Donald Trump said he had no choice in keeping some under lock and key pending a 6-month review process. Russia has previously denied any involvement in the assassination of JFK. Russian Foreign Ministry spokeswoman Maria Zakharova told reporters Thursday, "For decades, information has been kept under lock and key. If even here wild insinuations are hurled at Russia, that would be a shame, because it is information, and not disinformation that people want. Please share if you agree. We need to see all the documents in this case."